Let's take a look at how we can push the pen tool and take it even further. So here I have digitized a photo of an apple. So let's turn off all these layers, bring us back up, and we got there by tracing something like this. Okay, you may notice in the photo though that there are lines around some of these color areas. This is posterization, and the best way we can get posterization is to go to Photoshop. So we have not done anything in Photoshop yet. Let's take a look first at how to get from point A to point B. So I'm going to go to my browser and I'm going to look for an Apple photo. Okay, I'm going to click on images, and this may be a little remedial for some of you, but some of you may get something out of this. So images, right? Apple photo, not Apple drawing. We're going to go to tools and we're going to go to size, and we want to get the largest Apple photos that we can find. Okay, so somewhere in here is the apple that I chose. Anyway, you're going to click on this and you're going to save it. It's important to get a high resolution apple so that when you go to put your details in, it's not all blurry and pixelated. All right, so let's go take a look at Photoshop. We have probably not opened Photoshop yet. Some of you may have. All right, so I'm going to minimize this window and I'm going to go to my Photoshop program. So if I double click on something in my Finder window, let's say I put this in here, right? If I double click on it, you'll notice this is not Photoshop. Okay, so you cannot double click on it. You need to go to Photoshop and we need to open it through Photoshop. So let's go here. I'm going to hit Control Open and I'm going to go to Apples. And it takes a minute. Photoshop files are a little bit bigger. You have to be a little patient. So here we have Photoshop. Now we have our image of the apple. We're not going to go into too much of the interface because right now we only need to know basically one function, and that is how to posterize something in Photoshop. Posterizing is going to give us those nice breaks in the color and help us to define where those breaks are so that when we go to trace it with our pen tool, we've got a little bit more idea of where certain colors begin and end. So let's go up to Image. We're going to come down to Adjustments. And we're going to go to Posterize. Okay, and you'll notice that we have levels here. There's also a slider. So believe it or not, that's how many levels that we've got here in Photoshop. It's looking pretty smooth, but you know what? If we zoom in, you can start to see some distortion already. Okay, so I'm going to zoom back out to Control 0. And I'm going to gradually walk this through. Let's start with 5 levels. Okay, that's a little punchy, a little bit high contrast. The more levels we add, the less punchy this will get. So let's go to 6. All right, maybe 7. The example that I used, I chose 9. Okay, so you can see these nice rings here around your highlights. You can see some differences here. We can get a real clear idea of where our shadows are, and look what it did to the shadow at the bottom here. Okay, so I'm going to say OK, and now I'm going to do a Save As, and I'm going to call this Apples 2A. So where you have Apple 2, I always like to save a version of the same thing so that if I need to get back to the other file, I still have the original. So Apple 2A, I've already got that. It's going to say, do I want to replace that? Not a big deal. Okay, guess what? We're done with Photoshop now. So I'm going to hit OK. And then we're going to minimize the Photoshop screen. Okay, let's go and look at our Illustrator. Okay, so here I placed the file in my Illustrator. Let's unlock that so you can see it's just in there. Okay, it's sized nice and big. You should all be very familiar with how to place a file in Illustrator. If not, let's take a look. File, Place, and then I'm going to grab 2A and I'm going to place that. And then Yes, I'm going to place that. Here it comes. Hold on. Let's try that again. File, place, Apple IIa, place. There we go. So if I click that in here, I'm going to have to resize that. You guys should be very clear with how to resize. Selection tool, hold down shift to distort this, right? And just size this so that it fits nicely on a typical letter size page. Okay, so I'm going to delete this, and here you can see where I have created these outline shapes. So I'm going to create a new layer, and in the next video we'll take a look at how we're going to create those shapes, and then we'll take another look at how we're going to color them in. Okay, so let's pause here.